Hello once again and welcome back to another episode of Father and Sundays, the unexplainable guide to absolute nothing. We are in episode 77, that's 77 this week, Dad.
77?
Yep. And we are talking about the Amazon.
Are we? Okay.
Yeah. So stick around if you want to hear more and receive your package.
What?
Hello again, Dad, and welcome back to my podcast.
Oh, and thanks for having me on your podcast.
Yep.
It's a real pleasure for me.
It is in my room.
It is in your room,
As
yeah.
it's in my room,
Yeah.
and I think I bought the PC, and I bought a lot of the other stuff. Does it make it my podcast and you're the co-host?
I don't know. How much work do you put into the content?
I'd like to point out I'm the funding of it.
Yeah.
I put a fair bit into the content.
Yeah, okay. So what...
I edit it.
Yeah. No, I mean actually the
contents.
Yes, the body of the...
Put a fair bit. I conversate.
You what?
I conversate.
What does that mean?
I have a conversation.
Okay. But you don't do anything up front, though?
No, I do sometimes. Yeah. But the point being is if it wasn't for me conversating with you...
Yeah.
Conversing even.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're making up words now.
Then what would happen is it'd just be you reading things. And that would be an audiobook, not a podcast.
Okay. Is this you telling me that this is it now, that this is the last one we're going to do together and you're going off and doing your own thing?
No, I'm not saying that.
No?
I'm just trying to determine...
whose podcast
ownership.
it is. Really? I thought it was our podcast.
It is our podcast.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not so sure now.
Who's You're
backtracking now.
Who produces the podcast?
What do you mean by produce? Are you talking about edit it?
Under Father and Sundays, there is someone presents Father and Sundays.
Oh, so it's your company that produce it. So that means
really
it's
company,
all yours,
is it?
isn't it? No, it's not really, is it? But so it's all down. Well, if it's your podcast, it's your podcast.
No, it's
that's
our
fine.
podcast.
All right, okay.
You're my employee.
Get lost. Employee. If anything, it's the other way around.
I'm the manager.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, we've had this conversation just in general
you seem to think
recently.
you're the... If our household was a business, you seem to think you're the manager.
I've got miles more experience than you.
Experience doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things nowadays.
I think it does.
No. See, you're saying experience as if it's about experience plus how well you do the job.
Yeah.
And also, so I really think I'm the manager.
Of the few jobs that I've done in the years I've been working, I've done them very well. And I've been a manager of...
Yeah, but you have got squeaky shoes.
I've got squeaky shoes. That's got nothing to do with nothing, mate.
Yeah,
nothing to do with nothing.
It has got something to do with something.
Well, yeah, okay. Right, well, this is obviously something quite contentious that you've brought up straight away. And, maybe we need to have a meeting about it.
We're in week 77.
I'll call a meeting as I'm in charge.
No, you're not in charge.
And you'll have to just tell me whether you're available or not.
Yeah, I'll tell you if I'm available or not because I'm in charge.
Well, you better be available or not, otherwise you're sacked. Right. What's your week been like then, you
idiot? Why are you shouting?
Because you've upset me already.
You're maxing out the mic.
Oh, sorry. How's your week been then?
It's been all right. Thank you for asking. I got a manly candle.
Yes. Now, I don't think there's such a thing as a manly candle, is there?
Yes.
Did you get some manly throw cushions at the same time?
No. Did
you get some manly potpourri to put in the corner of the room?
No.
What does that manly candle smell of?
Wood. It smells like pine, wood and tar.
So you could have got just one of those little Christmas tree things that you put in a car and hung that up in the corner. Well, tar? Why is it smell? What's so nice about tar?
It's manly, isn't it?
What, tar?
Yeah, like roads and stuff.
Okay. There's probably other things that are quite manly. Athlete's foot.
That smells like wood.
I won't get a candle that smells like
my deodorant smells like wood.
Does it?
Yeah, have you smelled it?
I don't like the way this conversation is going. So these are all...
I actually genuinely... at work
how do you know they're manly?
At work.
How do you, what
because
tells
it
you?
says it's made for men.
Oh, does it really? Yeah, okay.
So, genuinely at work today...
Yes.
Or was it yesterday? Either way, at work, I went, oh yeah, I'm using this new deodorant. It smells a bit like wood. I said to my colleague, I went, I smell a bit like wood.
Right.
And he walked behind me at one point. He went, this was separate. He went, you do smell like wood.
Yeah.
This was today, actually.
I don't know.
And then we queued up for paninis. And one of the people that we were helping throughout the day, they were lining up for a panini at the juice bar that we've got to work. And like they were looking at the paninis. And
juice bar paninis.
Me and my colleague, I work in a big office. Me and my colleague were standing there and he was talking about how... he said, yeah, because you smell like wood. And I went, I do smell like wood. And then the person we were helping throughout the day said, would you guys stop talking about wood behind me?
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems a weird thing. You could say you smell like pine trees.
So what does your soap smell like, out of interest?
Fruit sort of smells to them.
And that's manly.
I don't...
Look, I'm not going to get into the fact of what's manly and what's not, because you can smell like whatever you want to. But don't ever go at me about smelling like wood.
I wasn't having a go at you about smelling like wood. I just don't know what...
You smell like candy floss and berries. Yeah?
I don't smell like candy floss and berries. I smell like berries, maybe, if I have used, I don't know, a shower gel that's got sort of fruit, sort of orange or whatever.
Yeah, you use your fruit pastel.
All I was asking was...
shampoo.
A candle slightly different to... deodorant and a sort of body wash or something like that, and I just wanted to know what made it like manly. And you keep saying wood.
You know what else?
And I can't really see how wood. The sweat of lumberjacks, maybe, but wood.
Lumberjacks. Another thing about my manly candle or my mandel, it's got a wooden lid as well.
Yeah,
it's also got a wooden wick.
Okay,
which means it makes crackling noise. When it burns.
Very wood-based sort of company then, this, yeah?
And, it's meant to be like a natural company.
And is it?
Yeah. And it's made with natural ingredients.
Like wood, yeah.
Yep. And it makes a crackling noise, and also fire's quite manly, isn't it?
Well, can be. So, is there a large amount of deforestation going on in order for you to have a manly candle?
No, that's softwood, look. Look at the lid. It's softwood, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. That's not much deforestation.
I'd thought it'd be hardwood as it's a manly candle.
Hardwood is if you want something to burn for a long time, but the lid doesn't need to burn, so...
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I wouldn't put the lid on while it's alight.
No,
anyway.
You do. That's how you put it out.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't blow it out then?
No, that's dangerous to blow out a candle.
When is it... What? How many birthdays have you had when you've blown out candles?
Yeah, it's not the safest thing to do, is it?
And what else are you supposed to do?
Smother the flame.
Yeah, it ruins your cake then, doesn't it?
I'm not saying do it with birthday cakes.
You're going to roll on
I'm
it.
not
roll
saying
up and
to do it with birthday cakes.
Right.
I'm saying with this, is if you want to like get rid of the oxygen, you put the lid on.
Right.
And it means there's no further oxygen getting in there, and it smothers the flame and it goes out.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a slight black tint in the middle of the lid, as you can see there.
They've designed it, though, to...
yeah, it's got a hole in it.
Yeah, it has got a hole there. Lovely.
It smells like...
Okay.
Candle.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, well, it sounds like you've had a fantastic week.
I've had a pretty good week. How's yours?
Nothing really has happened much.
Good, because we haven't got time to talk about it.
It's really, really hot. I'm really getting the ump with it. I'm trying to train for the London Marathon. I'm not being able to do it. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
We're seeing Coldplay soon, though.
Oh, we're going to see Coldplay tomorrow. Last night. We're going to see Coldplay last night. Yeah, we're going to see Coldplay.
How was it?
I imagine it was great.
What about that guy that kept like taking his shirt off and throwing?
Oh, it was really annoying me, that was. And then he lit up a candle and then I thought, no, he's all right.
And then he got kicked out.
And then he got kicked out for lighting a naked flame in a concert.
And he was naked. Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
Very dangerous.
Naked flame. No, I imagine it'll be really good. We'll perhaps talk about it next time. But yeah, there's 4 of us going to see him at Wembley Stadium. So that should be good fun.
4 of us, me, you,
and our other 2 conspirators.
And my clone.
Yeah. Okay, look, so we were going to talk about...
We're 9 minutes in.
Yeah, we were going to talk... We're still going to talk about the Amazon?
I think we might have just enough time.
Okay, so let's just talk about the Amazon then. We were trying to think of interesting places.
Just to clarify, Are we talking about the place or the company?
Well, if you looked at my search history, you'd probably wonder which one it was, because there's as many on there looking at other stuff on Amazon UK as there is about the Amazon River and rainforest, which I've been looking at quite a lot in the last few days. But we're talking about the rainforest and the river. We're talking about that area, that ecosystem. We've talked about interesting places. We talked about Everest, and we specifically talked about Mount Everest, but obviously about the conditions there and that. And we thought it'd be quite interesting to talk about the Amazon, the fact that, straight away, like, how long is the Amazon? It's 4,345 miles long.
How long is that in kilometres?
I nearly swore at you then, because I knew you were going to do that. And other stuff on here, I've managed to do both, because I thought he's going to ask me that, and that one I didn't.
Why not?
Because I didn't. Anyway, did you know what countries it runs through? See if you can guess.
Brazil.
Yep. It's because there's kind of 4 main countries that it goes through, and then there's a number of other countries. I think 5 more countries. I think I've written them down here, which like tributaries go off of the Amazon. So not the main bit, but more sort of the main route of the Amazon goes through 4 countries. So Brazil,
Argentina, Uruguay.
No.
Cuba.
No.
Costa Rica.
No. Right, we're running out of time now. If I was to say to you Colombia. Yep, well done. And then what if I was to say to you...
Shh, don't say it loudly so they can hear.
Where does Paddington come from? Deepest, darkest.
Yes, Peru.
Yes, Peru. Well done. That's a good one.
Oh, that was another place name. Sorry.
And
that's a different conversation.
Venezuela is the last one.
That's
so
what I was
basically it goes
gonna
through Brazil, Colombia, Peru and Venezuela, but also it roots out as well and goes through Bolivia, Ecuador, French Guiana.
I said Ecuador.
French Guiana, Guyana, and Suriname, if that's right.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Do you know where it starts?
The start of the Amazon River.
It starts in the Andes Mountains in Peru. So it comes from
Paddington.
Yeah, so it starts from up in the Andes.
Yep.
Comes down and through, and where does it end?
At the mouth of the river.
Which goes into
the ocean.
What ocean?
The Atlantic Ocean.
Well done, first time. So yeah, and I can't even comprehend that 4,345 miles and whatever that is in kilometres. But to go through all of those countries, you can imagine why there's problems with a lot. We'll talk about sort of deforestation and.
Did you buffer then?
I did it slightly and thing because I didn't.
No, you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't. And things like that, because obviously all these countries have a stake in it, have an idea of what they want and what they can do and what they can't do. And there's richer countries and poorer countries and whatever. So it makes a big difference. One thing I'll just quickly say then, between 65 and 145 million years ago, the river flowed in the opposite direction. Did you know that? No.
That's how it got up to the mountain.
So then, basically, it was because of the rise of the Andes, it changed the flow of it. So it went the opposite direction once the Andes actually started to develop and become the mountain range they are now.
Nice.
Bang. Fact.
Secrets from the Amazon.
There's a capybara down by the river who's got a speech impediment and says "thanks very much" instead of "thanks very much." Shh, don't tell anybody.
Okay. So just following on from that, the river releases around 200,000 litres of fresh water into the ocean every second.
What's that in gallons?
Oh. get lost. So 200,000 litres of fresh water into the ocean every second. Is that brackish? Where
It will be
water,
brackish, yeah.
Oh, yeah, get in. See, I learnt that in the oceans episode.
Yeah, it will be brackish. The estuary, it will be brackish.
Yeah, but that's just phenomenal. And I think I saw on one of the documentaries we do that you saw where you almost had the salt water and the fresh water sort of a line where it flowed before it actually mixed in.
They do kind of separate to a degree because their salinities may be so differed by that amount, but they won't take long to mix.
No, but it said for a period of distance.
You okay?
And then, like you said about brackish water, and then it was into the sea, into the Atlantic Sea. Sorry, I got a little bit of repeating
Getting
myself.
a bit upset.
I'm getting a bit emotional about this. Do you know why it's called the Amazon?
Because they named it after the really big company.
No.
Because it's amazing.
It is amazing. It is very amazing when you start looking at it. It was named by Francisco.
I'm so sorry.
De
I just blocked your
Orellana.
mic.
Yeah, I know you have. Francisco de Orellana. Sorry. He was the first European explorer to reach the area.
It's always named by a European, isn't it?
Yeah, he was Spanish, I think he was. He encountered the indigenous Piratapuya people and apparently fought them, obviously, because that's what people do when they go to these countries.
That's exactly what's going to happen to aliens if they ever visit.
Horrific. But apparently the women fought with the men from that particular tribe and were as ferocious fighters as the men were. And so he took from the Greek mythology about the Amazon women, that in Greek mythology that were these statuette women who fought and rode horses and threw spears, a bit like Wonder Woman. And so he named it Amazon, and that's where it came from. So all that time ago as well.
But the thing is, the only problems I have with this kind of stuff is that is essentially... I'm going to also make the massive thing that it's a white bloke.
Yep.
Potentially. Actually.
Mediterranean,
I guess it could be. Gone over there and named it when I can almost guarantee that the indigenous people
had their
own name for it.
Absolutely.
And this is what happens. It's just normally a middle-aged white man goes somewhere, and I'm talking about middle-aged back in the day when the actual middle-age was lower.
24.
Yeah. Nearly me.
Oh, yeah, you're middle-aged. Yeah, so... But you're absolutely right. Go there, and the first thing they think of doing is fight
them and rename everything they've got.
Yeah. Shocking.
So that they can understand it.
But we're still doing it. Well, even the countries that...
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Obviously, one of the massive problems they've got over there is the...
We're going and naming zebras. They probably didn't even want to be called zebras.
Probably not.
They probably named themselves like Nigels or something.
Yeah, maybe. Each country, obviously, we were talking about poorer countries and perhaps the ones that got a little bit more money, but obviously they start doing all the logging and, because they want to cut down, they want to plant other crops because they're going to make more money out of it. And obviously, it's one of these things, about who owns that particular thing. So from the point of view of the Amazon running through... the rainforest and river running through a particular country, then that country, although there's certain charities and places that own certain elements of it, because it's sort of some of it is being saved from that point of view, have been bought by these particular people. These countries will have their part of it and do what they want with it. I think you mentioned, it might not have been on this, but about dams, building dams.
Yeah, I mentioned it in the break.
Yeah, and the fact that if a particular country decided they want to, it doesn't flow fast enough for hydroelectric. So that's one of the big problems with it anyway. It doesn't flow that fast in order for them to make any difference to them. But
What happened there?
I don't know. What you waved at me for some reason?
because I believe there was people leaving the house.
Oh,
I was
was
saying
there?
bye to.
Oh, right. I didn't realise that. So that's why I looked a bit over my shoulder and then wondered what was going on and then waved at you. Anyway, look. So sort of things like bananas, palm oil. You hear, I think Madagascar has got a real massive problem where they're producing palm oil and again, lots of the natural habitats of animals is getting destroyed. Pineapples, sugarcane, tea and coffee. Those are the big things that are
What,
sort
pineapples?
of... Yeah.
What, for tea and coffee?
Pineapples and tea and coffee.
Okay. Sorry.
What are you talking about?
That's what confused me. Thinking, since when have pineapples been used in tea and coffee?
Well, no, they haven't.
Mainly pizzas. That's Hawaiian pizzas causing a problem.
We touched a bit earlier on the indigenous tribes.
Indigenous, yeah.
There's just... I didn't realise how many people, how many of these tribes, how many of these communities there were. You know, it's incredible. I've got here the Yanomami people, the largest isolated tribal group with around 38,000 members.
That's a big tribe.
Yeah, but that tells you that's just one.
But then
out of so many. I mean, there is one. There are ones that have only got one person and things like that. But you know, you've got these big groups.
Well, this is the thing. This is essentially how civilization started, though. Tribes building up to, I don't know. Essentially, we're just one big tribe, aren't we?
Well, we are one big tribe, but it says the Amazon is home to more than 120 indigenous groups, and I had my mind.
120 isn't that much, though, really.
Yeah, but I suppose across all of those countries, and we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about the way that Amazon River runs is 4,345 miles, but obviously the rainforest either side of that and the area itself, there's a lot more there. But that's still a lot of... I see what you mean across the South America, because it runs quite a long way across South America. But... You see, I had in my head that there might be, a handful of these indigenous tribes that are still there. But, these are people that have lived there for so long. Their whole life is within the rainforest. Everything they do is so interlinked with the rainforest. And yet the countries that they reside in, which they were there originally... The countries that are now taking ownership of that area will go in there and log that area and take away a lot of their stuff. And
it's like Avatar, isn't it? The film.
Well, yeah, to a certain respect, that's exactly what's happening. That they try and reach some sort of negotiation. I was watching something they were saying about one particular, and it's not always done in a particularly nice way. And they might offer them money. But they'll offer money that sounds like a lot, but they can't, if they're not doing the farming that they would normally do or the things they would normally do, they can't go somewhere else and earn that money. They haven't got that trade to do that. So
they're not necessarily going to be able to communicate as brilliantly. They're also not going to be, without sounding funny, well educated.
No.
Means they're not going to be able to go into, an office job in the middle of Brazil.
No, exactly. But if they move to that sort of area, it might seem at first an amount of money that they're offered would be great because it's more than they've ever had. But when they have got nothing then...
And when they had no need for money in the first place...
Yeah.
They've actually got nothing to judge that amount of money on either.
Well, no.
Because all it is someone going, it's a good deal, by the way.
And also, there's a tribe, or people, I should say, called the Paris Nahua people. They lived, and they would have had the same problems anybody has living in the rainforest. But once they were discovered, within a year of them being discovered and people from the outside world coming into where they were, half of them died because they were. They brought in disease, or or things that they gave them caused problems, or whatever like that. We are such a destructive people, even to the indigenous people that live on this planet. It's just horrific when you think about what's happening.
This brings in a really good argument about aliens' existence, but I know that sounds like it's a massive jump, but it'd be in a similar way, and I think that'll be something for us to discuss another time, or even just outside of this podcast. But alien existence, if they were out there, if they would just suddenly appear before we're ready to meet them, that could cause problems. Same way as tribes. If we just go and met a tribe before they were ready to meet the rest of civilization, then that could cause some huge issues.
Well, apparently there's still... we've talked on this podcast about other places on Earth that we're saying there's nothing that's not been explored before. Well, there are, because apparently there's areas of the Amazon rainforest that you can't get to, that no one has ever got to.
I was watching a YouTube video the other day where they were in the Amazon and they discovered a new fish species.
Well, I reckon, huge parts of the Amazon are still unexplored. They reckon, and I did write down something here, that as far as new species are concerned, there was a period of time that the WWF done so, the World War Wrestling Foundation. I don't know why they get involved in these things, but they're very heavily involved. Every 3 days, according to them, between 1999 and 2009, there was new species being discovered. Incredible. You think we would know? We talk about the oceans, and obviously there's lots of places within the oceans you've said many times we can't explore or haven't got the capability to explore at the moment. But to think there's places like this that we haven't got to, that we haven't seen, it's incredible.
Secrets from the Amazon.
If you were to take all the water from the Amazon River and its tributaries and pour it over your head, you'd probably drown. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Right. One thing I meant to say to you when we were talking about outsiders coming in and aggravating indigenous tribes and that.
You're talking about the new kitten?
Yeah, the new kitten, definitely coming in and antagonising everybody else in the house. I told you that we had houses in our junior school and they were explorers. So we talked about Edmund Hillary, Hunt, both that scaled Everest, and then we had Scott of the Antarctic, and the other one was part-time explorer, part-time plumber, Fawcett, whose name was Percy Fawcett. Well, he was an explorer, and he actually vanished when they never found him.
Are we just mixing every single one of your school stories into
one?
Wow, that was a good noise, wasn't it?
So Percy Fawcett vanished with his son and another team member in 1925, right? Now, you think, that's a bit of a shame, wonder what happened to him. And they said, anything could have happened to him. Well, I'm pretty much sure what would happen to him, because apparently he was really, really quite obnoxious to anybody, any of the indigenous people there. He was really rude. And he used to upset them. He used to take things from them. He used to force stuff on them and all sorts of things. All the things that are the worst kind of exploring. You don't go there, observe and come away. He would go and interfere and try and make himself famous. One of the things he used to do as well to raise money is he used to be quite liberal with his storytelling. One of the things I think he said was that there was this thing called the Maricoxi, a Sasquatch-like tribe of very hairy creatures that threatened his party with bows and arrows and could only grunt. And he would tell the people that were sponsoring his expeditions that that's what he was going to look at, things like that, and they'd give him money. But obviously, well, not obviously, but pretty sure that's not what he was doing. But anyway, I just wanted to tell you that because it has a link into the other one.
What did you say again?
What?
About him giving money?
Giving him money.
Who was he giving money? What?
They were giving money to sponsor his expeditions, and he was telling them he was going to look for these fantastical things, even though he probably wasn't. He was just going and antagonising all the indigenous tribes. Okay. Anyway, we talked about the species. So the Amazon
It contains 1 in 10 known species on Earth, 40,000 plant species, 3,000 freshwater fish species, and
You could say that
and
again.
more species, and more than 370 types of reptiles. Fish. I know that's a big
Fish.
thing we've talked about before.
I know.
So it's incredible that it has that much of the world's wildlife. But as far, you've got fish that originate from the Amazon, haven't you?
I've got 4 different species of fish in my aquarium. I've got 3 of which do come from the Amazon.
Yeah.
So I've got, and I'm going to go with their common names rather than their Latin names.
Oh, right. Probably won't recognise them then. But go on,
Sure,
yeah.
okay. So the one that isn't from the Amazon is the cherry barb. The 3 that are Amazonian or can come from the Amazon are the bristlenose pleco,
That's the catfish kind of thing, yeah?
also the angelfish,
Yeah.
and lastly the rummy-nosed tetra.
Right.
Now, the really interesting thing about the angelfish and the rummy-nosed tetra, well, not necessarily discovered, but the angelfish, from what I can understand, is the angelfish was first collected live from Venezuela by Bier, which is Heiko Bier. Blair. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's German.
Right.
But he's a German researcher, and he's been around quite a long time, and he's discovered a number of different fish from the Amazon. So not necessarily the first to discover an angelfish, but he was the first to discover things like the rummy-nosed tetra. The rummy-nosed tetra, named after him. Now, his name isn't Rummy-Nose, but he's... but the actual Latin name of it was named after him. I'm just going to see if I can... yes, the Latin name for the rummy-nosed tetra is Hemigrammus bien.
Okay. Interesting you take the mick out of me saying species. But, you know.
Yeah, so there are just a few of the species that I've got that are from the Amazon, but there's literally, like you said, like thousands upon thousands of species, and there's still more being discovered. Like I said, there was an episode, a YouTube video I watched the other day of him discovering, as well as someone else, discovering a new species that looked like a fish in the Amazon River, or on a branch of it.
So, obviously they originate. I mean, it's a bit like a zoo where you'd have an elephant, but it was born in captivity. So, would most of the fish that go to aquariums be bred in other countries? So would they have... how does that work? Have they got fish farms?
The way the aquarium hobby generally works, just as a bit of background, is most fish you will find in like shops and stuff like that, they will be shipped from another country, but they would normally be bred. They would normally be captive bred.
Oh, right, okay.
There will be other fish like that of mollies and stuff like that breed like easy, so they'll probably be more locally sourced. But when it comes to certain other fish species, they're normally bred in captivity nowadays, purely from the fact that, one, it costs a lot of money to go and collect them from the wild, and also there's no real reason to collect them from the wild if you can get them sourced from elsewhere. It could mess with nature. However, you do sometimes find that if you want the most pure example of a fish, so for example the angelfish, I have what would be considered striped angelfish because they are not pure Pterophyllum alum. They're not pure that, or alum angelfish, or whatever you want to call them.
Right.
Mainly because their lines are sometimes broken, don't go all the way down, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The ones you find in the wild will be almost perfect in the way they look. But my point being is, you've got captive bred. A lot of fish species nowadays doesn't mean that all fish species are captive bred, purely because it's very difficult to breed certain species. For example, they've only recently been able to breed seahorses, so that's when they start to become more common. And you do find that once you can captive breed something and captive breed it in high numbers, and they're easy to breed, then they become cheaper. But things such as octopuses, they at the moment are I don't think anyone's captive bred them, so they're so expensive. And I know we're not talking about the Amazon at the moment, but when something's difficult
No,
to
but it's the same
bring
principle
captivity-
as I knew that those particular fish came from that area, but I didn't know how that process works, because originally they must have been caught in that area and then bred maybe elsewhere. But, you know, originally someone did take a net, catch a fish in the Amazon. I mean,
Yeah.
the very first ones that come out of it. And I didn't know how much of that, and also transporting them as well. That's amazed me, because as a postman, I've delivered things and then realised what I'm delivering is fish, live fish.
Yeah, well, just to clarify as well, if something's captive bred, if you take something out of the wild and put it in like an aquarium, the likelihood of it surviving does drop a bit.
Yeah.
Because it depends on where you're getting your water, the hardness of the water,
Yeah.
the pH of the water, the not necessarily ammonia levels or whatever, because you shouldn't have ammonia, it should be 0, and nitrate. Nitrate you can have a bit, but that
Yeah.
might have a different cause a bit of a difference there as well. And all the metals in the water and stuff like that. That kind of thing, those kind of things, you'll find that something that's taken from the wild may struggle a bit more adapting to those differences than something that's captive bred. Something that's captive bred will often be used, bred a lot easier. And actually, when you transport them to a fish shop, like not a fish and chip shop, but you know, aquarium shop, if you once you transport them to them, then they will use their own water, which normally, if it's fairly local, will have a similar hardness to yours, blah blah blah.
So it's getting them
And-
prepared to live in
Yeah.
perhaps a different environment than they're used to.
But it's why you acclimatise fish before you put them into a tank.
Right.
Don't just drop them straight in.
It was interesting. I read about the rainforest itself, though, is that a huge amount of the life is in the canopy and in the tree tops, because at ground level it's incredibly damp and humid and very, very dark. I mean, there's a difference in the density of it around the Amazon, and as you go through to different countries and further away from the actual river itself and all the rest of it, because obviously there are mammals that live in that sort of environment, but quite a lot of it is quite, and this is what we're saying about not being able to explore, because it's so dense. It's the conditions are so difficult that only certain things would thrive at those particular levels. But there seems to be, even you could literally put a cross section of a tree, and as you come down that tree, there's birds, and then there's mammals, and then you come down smaller insects and blah blah blah, all the way down to the very base of that tree. And it's incredible to see that diversity, even just in that one tree. I mean, I say one tree, but you know what I mean. It can be that sort of thing. So, yes, a very interesting place. Quite incredible animals. A bit like Madagascar, a bit like Australia, where you have animals that only exist in that on that particular continent, within that particular area. And I always find that fascinating. I always think, really, it's unique. It's something special about it. It's something that really needs to be preserved, and something that they are really struggling. Although people do seem to have a different mindset. There are a number of people, like I said at one point, that are buying up land purely to leave it.
Yeah.
They have the money to do it, they buy it, and then they leave it, because they're not interested in doing anything with it. They're just trying to preserve at least some of these places.
Rummy-nosed tetras, by the way, if you've never seen one, Google them. They are really beautiful fish.
I will. Straight after
I've got
this.
some downstairs.
I'll go and look at them then.
Yeah,
I won't
okay.
bother them.
Yeah.
Secrets from the Amazon.
My mate Steve says if you go for a swim and have a sneaky wee-wee, it attracts something that will swim up your... Shh, don't tell anybody.
A song.
A song. Yes, another sort of diary entry of an explorer going to the Amazon and trying to do something a bit different.
A David Harding original.
It is a David Harding original, yeah.
taking himself away from his mundane life and tried to get a piece of something that only few people experience.
Should we give it a listen?
It's quite poetic, that, wasn't it? Probably a lot more poetic than the song. Give it a listen.
I've got myself a boat and I'm floating down the Amazon. I've left me wife a note saying don't know when I'll be back again. I didn't need this coat. I'm sweating like a pig on market day. Home seems a long, long way away. I wish I brought a friend. It's lonely in this wilderness. As I drift around the bend, I'm regretting going on this quest. I think I'll start a trend by rolling up my trouser legs and sleeves. Wait, there's something in the trees.
There's an anaconda yonder, there's a sloth looking on. There's Jaguar in the reeds, I feel I don't belong. Everything's out to kill me, surely I'm not wrong. And I wish I'd never come but stayed at home. And I wish I bought a charger for me phone.
There's a monkey up above me. It's gold although its face is red. It moves so it can see, then takes a shot upon my head. I think you'll all agree it's the last straw on a terrifying day. But it's the price I had to pay.
There's an anaconda yonder, there's a sloth looking on. There's Jaguar in the reeds, I feel I don't belong. Everything's out to kill me, surely I'm not wrong. And I wish I'd never come but stayed at home. And I wish I bought a charger for me phone.
Game time.
Woohoo! A game now?
A game now. Just before we hit a game, can I just apologise? Don't think I've quite mastered the bleep placing on songs, so apologies. There you go.
All right, okay. Do I need to go in and edit it, or?
Nah, leave it as it is. It'd be fine. No one cares really, do they? Anyway, game time. Right, I've got a quiz for you about the subject matter in hand.
What's the subject matter?
The subject matter is the Amazon.
No way.
Way, Connor. Way.
What episode?
For episode 77, and I'm surprised I remembered that from the very beginning of this podcast 3.5 days ago. Why have you got matches? Don't play with matches while we're doing a podcast.
For my mandel.
For your mandel. God's sake. So, I'll tell you what. Play the Sting.
I'll play that Sting like it's no real thing.
Here's 10 questions based upon facts and stuff on the Amazon. Give it a go if you don't know.
Thank God, not much longer and you can go.
What a lovely Sting.
Yeah.
It made me want to sing.
Did it?
Yep.
It's great, isn't it? Yeah, it's one of my favourites. So, it's a quiz-a-rooney. It's
No
a
way.
quiz
I
about...
did not expect a quiz.
You've already said that. It's a quiz
Not
about
today.
the Amazon. Yes, you have. Yes,
No,
you
I
have.
didn't.
How many questions do you reckon there is?
11.
No.
10?
Yeah. Well
Wow.
done. So you got that one right already. So in a way,
So
there is
11.
11 questions. Yeah. So should we crack on then? See how much you know about the Amazon river and rainforest?
And it's got nothing, there's not any
There's
mention
no-
of the business.
No, there's nothing to do with the business. I've not gone as far as trying to trip you up or
To be
trick you in
funny
any
on
way.
this podcast.
No, quite. Okay then, Connor. Question 1. We talked about new species being discovered and a report by the WWF. But which of these animals was discovered in that time period? Was it A, the follically challenged fan-tailed pheasant?
Right. You're already laughing.
I just laugh all the time anyway. But
Do
was
you?
it B, the receding rat? Or was it C, the bald parrot?
The bald parrot.
You know that, do you?
I'm going to go based on the fact that the follically challenged.
Fantail pheasant.
Yeah.
You don't think it's that?
No.
Okay. Well, you're absolutely right. It's a bald parrot. I don't know if the parrot was actually bald because I
think it
didn't have a
just
look at
looks
a picture
bald.
of it.
Should I
because
Google it?
because obviously there's the bald eagle, and the bald eagle isn't bald. Okay, while you do that, I hope you're still paying attention because question 2 is coming right up. Talking of animals, which of these animals frequent the rainforest? Is it A, the Jesus lizard? Is it B, the Moses mole? Or is it C, the God spider?
The Jesus lizard, the Moses mole, the God spider.
Yep. Which of these animals frequent the rainforest?
Frequent.
Yeah.
Living.
Yeah.
The God spider.
The God spider.
Yeah.
That is incorrect. It's the Jesus lizard.
The
And why
Jesus
do you think?
Jesus lizard?
Well, it may be Jesus, but
Yeah,
that's
that's
just.
basically it's South America. It's going to be Jesus, isn't it?
But it's still Jesus. Well, put it this way, right? So what was he called? Jesus of Nazareth, because in like Spanish that would be Jesus, right? Jesus Christ superstar, yeah.
Yeah. I can't
This
tell
lizard-
if this parrot is bald or not.
This lizard runs on water, right? So skips across water, which is why it's probably called the Jesus lizard.
Oh, that'll be it.
Right?
Also, yeah, I'm having a look at this parrot, yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't tell, does it look like it's got no feathers on its head?
I can't see it, yeah, so I can't tell you.
I think it's just got no feathers on its head. I think it genuinely is
Great, I'll have a look at that.
bald.
I've got an image in my head now of something completely different.
I mean, if you do Google bald parrot, it does just have loads of
Parrots that are bald.
parrots with no feathers at
Okay,
all.
well, I won't bother doing it that way. Okay, number 3. Which of these is not an Amazonian indigenous tribe? Is it
Buffery.
A Akuntsu? Is it B, a Weti? Or is it C, Asimama?
She's gone for the aunt. This is an aunt or an is.
What?
Did you say which one of these isn't a?
Which one of these is not an Amazonian
Okay.
indigenous tribe?
A wetty.
It's not, I'm afraid. It's the Asimami, which is the one I made up at the end. The other two are very much indigenous tribes.
Okay, fair enough.
Question 4. What does the deepest part of the Amazon measure? Is it 80 metres? Is it 90 metres? Or is it C, 100 metres deep at the deepest point of the Amazon?
90 metres.
10 out, it's 100 metres. Well, you'd be 10 out if it was 80 as well, wouldn't it? But it is 100 metres
No,
deep
if
at
I
its
said
deepest
80.
point.
Oh, right, okay. So
Yeah, you see what I mean. Okay, never mind. Question 5. What is the biggest animal in the Amazon rainforest? The biggest animal in the Amazon rainforest. Is it A, a tapir?
Is it biggest in terms of like their ego or their
The mass.
how well they're known?
Is it A, a tapir? Is
Yep.
it B, jaguar? Or is it C, a giant otter?
Giant otters are pretty big, but they're not that big. A jaguar is bigger than a tapir. Genuinely, I'm a little bit stuck between a. Hang on, is in terms of mass?
Well, in terms of how long it is or
Volume.
yeah.
Giant otters are pretty big. I'm going to go with Jaguar. I'm just going to go for the obvious one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That is incorrect.
Is it giant otter?
No, it's the Brazilian tapir, which is 6.5 feet long and weighs 550
the
pounds.
Brazilian
or can be.
tapir?
Oh, it doesn't make any difference. It's actually the one in the rainforest. The jaguar can grow up to about 5.9 feet long and weigh 211 pounds. The giant otter, now I only recently found out, I thought they were just big otters. They are huge. Would frighten the life out of you, really, if you saw one. More like a seal than anything else. So the giant otter, they can grow to 5'9" feet long as well, like the same size as a jaguar, but they'd only weigh 52, 53 pounds.
Only an inch smaller than you.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Unfortunately, that was wrong, but what about this one? I reckon you'll be all right on this one.
I might have to fact check that.
Question 6. What is the top speed of a sloth? Is it A, 1.28 kmph, which is 0.80 miles per hour?
What's kmph then?
Kilometres, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Or is it B, 0.24 kilometres an hour, which equates to 0.15 miles per hour? Or is it C, 0.99 kilometres an hour, or 0.6 miles per hour?
I'm going to be honest, that question took so long that I forgot all of them.
So is it... what do you want it in?
Just
miles
do
per
miles,
hour?
just do miles.
Right, so is it 0.8 miles per hour, 0.15 miles per hour, or 0.6 miles per hour?
So 0.8, 0.15 or 0.6?
Yeah.
That's not even in order, is it? It's 0.15, 0.6 and then 0.8.
Yeah, but is it A, 0.8 miles per hour? Is it B,
0.15
miles per hour?
I'll go for that one.
That is correct. Well done. That's how fast it goes.
Thank
Top
you.
speed. Bearing that in mind, question 7. If we take the figure of 4,345 miles for the length of the Amazon, and we take the top speed of the sloth to be 0.15 miles per hour, and that it could maintain that speed, how long would it take the sloth to complete the journey, assuming that the trees he or she would have to navigate were all aligned? Would it take that sloth 2 years and 11 months to do the...
Can I have the length of the river again?
No, because you're going to work it out, so you've got to do it off the top of your head here. Right? Would it take the sloths 2 years, 11 months to do the journey? Would it take the sloth 3 years, 3 months to do the journey? Or would it take the sloth 3 years, 5 months to do the journey?
So, from a rough calculation, it's looking like it'd be 30,666.7 hours. So, if there's 24 hours in a day, so that takes us to 1,277, so divided by 365. How what was the three options?
God. 2 years, 11 months, 3 years, 3 months, 3 years, 5 months.
3 years, 5 months.
That is incorrect. It would take the sloth 3 years and 3 months to do the 4,345 miles length of the Amazon.
What was the length?
I've just said it.
Yeah, say it again.
4,345.
Damn it. I put 4,600.
Well, that's where you went wrong then, isn't it? Okay,
You wouldn't repeat it.
Question 8. Because you're just going to tap it into a calculator. That wasn't the point.
I think that's fair. Maths.
English. How many bridges cross the Amazon River?
None of them, because they don't have legs.
6 bridges? Is it B, 16 bridges? Or is it C, there's no bridges?
I'm pretty sure there aren't many bridges. However, what we're equating to a bridge, like, is if there's like a branch of a bridge, then and someone's got
I'm not talking about a natural branch that overhangs an animal.
I'm talking about
canal.
like
I'm talking about a man-made bridge.
The river branches off, so the guy decides to put a plank over it.
I'm talking about a man-made bridge.
None.
That is correct. There's no bridges over the Amazon. The penultimate question, question 9. El Tunchi is an evil spirit that haunts the rainforest and terrorizes people by doing what?
Winning in their cereal.
Is it A, eerily whistling, which gets gets louder and more shrill? Is it creates a smell of such heavenly richness that people can't help following their nose? Or is it C, makes a sound of a loved one or even themselves calling for help?
Makes sound of a loved one or themselves calling for help.
Unfortunately, that's not right. It eerily whistles.
That's the one I was going to go for, but
and
I
it gets
decided-
louder and more shrill. And if you answer it by whistling back, then you're already gone. And you'll never be found again. But that's the evil spirits, and there's a lot of actual legend around the rainforest as well, because you can imagine with the indigenous people, they're very much a spiritual people that when you look at beliefs, it will be about animal spirits and the balance between them and nature and all that. So there's a lot of that sort of, quite interesting actually. Okay, last question.
That one was the last question.
No, that's a penultimate question. That was second from last question.
Oh, I didn't realise you said penultimate.
Question 10. Which of these is the smallest mammal in the Amazonian rainforest? Is it A, the pygmy marmoset? Is it B, the dwarf finger monkey? Or is it C, the Oompa Loompa tamarin?
Pygmy marmoset. Pygmy doesn't just mean small. Pygmy's like a place, and that's where they all come from. That's where like the pygmy hippo comes from. The pygmy elephant comes from.
Is that true? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's why that one's not real. So I'm gonna. What was the middle one?
Dwarf finger monkey.
Dwarf finger monkey.
No, it's a pygmy marmoset. Apparently, right, it's a tiny little marmoset. It's highly aggressive, right? It really
it's
is
got little man syndrome.
Little marmoset syndrome. It is really quite violent and not to be messed with. So that's the end of my little Amazon quiz. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was alright, thanks.
It was alright. Yeah, it's not too bad.
I said that in a different tone to the way you're repeating it.
Yeah, could take it or leave it. Yeah, so there you go. So do you feel a little bit more enlightened about the Amazon? I'm certainly a little bit more enlightened myself.
I'm a little bit annoyed about you not repeating the length of the Amazon.
Well, you're going to have to live with that, aren't you? It's just one of those things. It's a quiz. It's not a let's give Connor all details he can type it into a computer and the computer does all the work for him.
No. Hang on. Right. So, it was a quiz, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a quiz.
Yes.
So if I am using the tools available to me to answer a question, and you've given me a maths-based question, then absolutely I can work out the answer.
But if I'd have told you, I'd already told you that information a number of times, right? From the very beginning, when we started about the Amazon to that particular question, I actually said it in the description, right?
What's the length of the Amazon, Dad? Amazon River? Off the top of your head?
4,345 miles long.
Do you check your notes? Do you want to show me your notes? Let's just have a look.
Sorry about this, because we always do this. 4,345 miles. Thank you very much.
If I ask you that in 3 days' time,
yep,
will you remember it?
I will. 4,345 miles.
What's that in kilometres?
100%. I said that a second ago anyway. I don't know what that is in kilometres because I'd have to look it up.
What's the Nile River?
The Nile River. Oh, that's an interesting thing, right? Which is the longest river?
The Amazon.
Well, it was always, if you go to quizzes or quiz nights, they'll say it's the Nile. But it's
only more recently. It depends how you look at it. It depends, where the measurements that you're using. And now people say probably be the Amazon. But for a long, long while, it would always be the answer would be the Nile.
I always thought it was the Amazon.
No, and I think that I'd go to quiz nights. It's always the Nile.
Well, the Nile is 3,258 miles.
Yes, but it's about how
4,258
they've calculated it.
Some 125 miles longer than previously thought. So it's only recently that they thought that the Nile was longer.
That's what I'm saying. No, they've only recently thought the Amazon is longer.
They've only recently thought that the Nile was longer.
Not as far as I'm concerned now.
As far as I'm concerned is. That's what it says on here.
Okay.
The Googs. Anyway, that's the end of our little argument.
Is it? I feel that it might not be. That's the end of our little argument on the podcast.
Yep, now it goes off the podcast. So, that was fun.
Yep.
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 You could tell us it was fun by contacting us via the website fatherandsundays.com, and we've got a contact page on there. You can leave a comment, question, suggestion or complaint, and you can also that's that thing there. Podcasts available on many different podcast platforms, and they're also available on the website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow and like us there, share us on there as well, and you can also leave comments on those as well.
Okay.
You're looking at me and looked at your phone as if you got something to say.
No.
You're about to interrupt me again.
I wasn't about to interrupt you. I wasn't about to tell you that I have a message that I can't tell you about. I just wondered if we'd had any messages through. Have we not had anything, communications, since we had that from Al?
Not my end. You still said you're working on your one.
Yes, because I can't really...
Your one wasn't sent via message. Your one was spoken in person.
Yeah, and I'm trying to ratify that. By the way, we've got rats in our yard at work now.
Oh, nice.
And
not receding rats.
No, not receding rats. And the man came with traps and that from
the man cave.
Yeah, man came with the rat man came, and then it got us all doing Roland Rat impressions, which was really stupid and
did he actually?
But made us laugh. No, we did. Yeah, we did.
You decided to do Roland Rat impression.
Kevin, we kept going all the time.
I don't really know.
I don't even know
Roland Rat that well.
Well, you look it up on Google.
On the Googs.
Okay then.
Oh, you off?
Well, one thing that I've struggled with when I'm watching the documentaries.
Oh, you got more to say?
Well, no, it struck me that I've got this incredible urge to go and buy myself a Bushman wood fire oven, right? Because every time I watch a documentary, it goes for about a minute, and then someone comes on there telling me I really should buy a Bushman wood fire oven.
You mean the adverts?
Yeah. And it drives me around Ben. And we talked about the adverts on this one, which I don't necessarily have an issue with. But you can't, you listen to or watch about 3 minutes of documentary, then I'll try and get sold a wood fire oven, then another 3 minutes.
You watching these on YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that why, yeah?
Well, you've been looking up.
Oh. That made a good sound, didn't it?
It did, didn't it? You've been looking up wood fire ovens on Amazon?
No, not that I know of, because you've got a pizza oven, so I don't know why I'd be doing that.
We talk about that quite a lot, though.
We do. They do. Their customer service and expert advice is second to none.
Have you been looking them up?
No, it's just I've been watching lots of documentaries.
There's lots of adverts popping up.
Interestingly, though, they are exempt from the smoke legislation, so you don't have to worry about how much smoke the wood fire oven makes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know we're not sponsored by them.
No, but you know they've kind of it's
if they
not
wanted
even
to sponsor?
It's not like subliminal messages. It's like being hit round the head with it all the time.
What if they wanted to sponsor?
Well, they could if they want to pay us for it, but I'm not.
But you're saying things about them now.
I know I am. But it just did irritate me because I'm more likely not to buy one because it just kept going. It kept interrupting the flow of this documentary.
But that's just adverts on YouTube. You can't blame them for that.
Well, I know that, but I'm just saying anyway. I'm going to say goodbye.
Yeah, we went to ages ago.
All right then. Bye.
Bye.